All right, here we go. Let's see. So almost there. Some tunes going. Been in this? Yeah, we can just use this one. I figure out how to do shuffle inside this thing. Did there. That is not what I wanted, truth. Okay, that's a problem for a different time, I guess. I'm trying to use a new music player, and I don't know. Commands to control it. So, got myself all turned around. Inside there. All right. Now we are ready. So we're jumping right in. I'm starting with some what I'm calling kind of housekeeping type stuff, which is basically some of these are failing. I did a patch this morning. Did a patch this morning with Adabot, and then did some follow-up changes on the ones that didn't work automatically, and I noticed some of them, a handful of them failed actions. This, it looks like, just never passed Pylon. This would not be stuff related to my change. Let's check and see if this ever did pass before. Maybe is this a new one? Okay, yeah, it looks like it's not. And it has no release. Yeah, it was not passing before. Okay, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I think this is like a new one. I see that's a new display, I think. Display. Okay, I think we're not worried about that because that was not passing before and it's not related to anything I did. Basically, we're going to run through these and then get back into Circup, assuming there's nothing that takes us on a super deep tangent. So I think that's like 4-wire got moved. This is an A cap cap 7-inch. Oh, I don't have it. Oh. Or if I can disable that. Worth a quick Google, I think. Right? We need to get that's real fast as well, actually. Let's see. So PyCharm disable automatic prompt for env when project opens. Right. Yes, obviously I know I can select a thing. I want to not click it literally every time I open a project. No. Maybe they're talking about something else though. Environment. They're talking about actually sure. All right, well. Through gateway? Different thing. All right, well, it was worth a quick try. But no dice. We can try building docs locally, let's hope. I don't know if this is going to be the same. Docs. It's failed the same way. Fingers crossed. Come on. Nice. Okay. I'm pretty sure then the answer is that's in 4-wire now. But I guess... Okay, that's not actually used in any. Actually, like literally line 15 though, right? Because this is line 15. I think it's inside of the on 0. I don't know if it starts on 0. Let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's the end. All right, well, it's none of those. There's no any either. Doesn't use 4-wire at all. Wait, this feels pretty deja vu. I think I may have solved this in one library, but I don't know which one. Remember the exact. So tweet. I have it looking for. Fuck. My instinct is that this is by way of e-paper display, but then why would it not actually be updated? So one thing that's weird is this part shows bus as a parameter, but it doesn't list it here. Bus. Yeah. see here, where did this come from? Create an e-paper display object on the given display bus. Where did that come from? Is this pulling Blinka? This is a gap in my knowledge of how Sphinx or the docs work all the way. I don't know if Sphinx uses Blinka as its like kind of reference for CircuitPython core, or if it uses the stubs UII files. Let's take a look if the don't cat trying to play cat pounce. Also probably at the top of the stairs too, so let me go avert that. All right, well, I tried. When I get up again, a few moments, it's probably because the cats are fighting. That's the other thing. I don't even know. Would it be the latest one, or would it be like latest from main, or latest from 82x? May have to punt this one. Yep. Fight. Okay. This is our text right here, which came through to here. So is it like that in main? In here? What? Oh, so e-paper display itself is gone. That's right. So This is a new core module. Okay, so I think actually maybe this needs to be here. But not with that thing. Paper display is not defined. You install CircuitPython stubs. Did I not do that? I misspelled the first time? Already installed. Successfully installed 8-8. Okay, so in the new module though, does it still say no? Okay, it's fixed here. It's fixed here. And this is still the same, right? This still doesn't work. Yeah. Is there a way to... How do I install a pre-release? You install a pre-release. Pip install pre-release. Free. Release version. Free. I know OA5. So I would assume it still fails like this because it's still not display 04 wire is still wrong. But then if we do change this to e-paper display, can it succeed? No. Okay. I think those come from Blinka, not stubs. But I still don't know. And what I do know is that we are punting that for now. I don't know how to fix it. It might not be fixable at the moment. It might be a needing of those changes to be released. I don't actually know, but it's definitely tied to the fact that display got split up, which is actually the same thing here too. I wish I had an easy way to search. Yeah. This is the thread I was remembering. I mean, it works with inner Sphinx. Okay. Okay. For now, we punt on that one. I don't know what to do about it just yet. Just be host MIDI. That shouldn't be any display IO format. This one probably wasn't passing before. And if that's the case, then I probably won't mess with it. It was not passing before. Yeah, the last change was the last automatic change, and the last change before that was the initial version. I'll leave that. Wait, timeout? Might just be a rerun it type thing. Did it actually show fail? Let's try a rerun, because that looks like an awfully just timed out, because the server somewhere was not quite answering fast enough at the time. I don't know if this actually works for rerunning, though. Or if we should do all or just failed. Island. This one's also probably was never passing. PyOUR. I'm pretty sure both of these are going to be the same. Weren't ever passing before. These are all like brand new / still in the works, not released, actually finished up yet. Thing. In black. Oh no, that one might not have a thing in read the docs even. This is only 3 commits, so initial and then the last automatic one, the new automatic one. Same thing though, so it was never passing. Okay, so those are all the ones that came from my stuff. So all of those are good. All of those are at least good for the moment. The ones that I can do anything about are the docs ones, but truthfully, I can't do anything about them until I understand better what's going on. We'll have to do a perhaps not literal deep dive on the deep dive, but we'll have to do a deep dive in spirit one of these days on intersphinx. I don't have any idea how it finds where those different classes are, or how it decides what to pull in from which different class. But I think that figuring those things out is basically the key to fixing those docs build errors. Okay. Now we're back to Circup. I don't get in this list anymore. Really blew out my recents list by doing the patch and the sweep afterwards today. Circup. And all right, we can plug back in this workflow device. Has space on it now. Are on 119 still. Is that page? Should have room. Let's see. I don't remember the exact place that I left off. Let me also go back to the. Let's get back to this PR and just look at the latest commit so I can head wrapped back around where I was last. We do need to fix that. That's super low hanging fruit, which we can do. We can use backends and shared. Don't have stuff to pass use. And this. We really need the Circup on. In the Circup repo, it's like nothing to do with it is about Circup. In the main one, Circup, it's like introducing the project also. We'll keep this. Like, I'm keeping this because all of this code started as was just inside of a init and moved over. We've changed it around to make it work like this, but some of those definitely just lifted straight out of init, which means it's back to the original. This is the back end. This is the represent basis to physical. That should at least make reuse happier. It'll still fail for me because it fails on any files that aren't checked in, that don't have licenses, which like they're not checked in, they're not going to be checked in, so I'm not going to put a license in it. It still fails. But that should at least make it succeed on those two files which were mentioned in the comment. Not sure, fake device. I guess it's going to depend once we get back into the tests so we can figure out whether, I don't remember, if fake device, if it needs to be kept, I mean, there's mock device here. I think fake device was just an experiment. I don't think it's part of the repo, in which case I don't think we'll get it checked in, which means it definitely won't need a license either. Mock device here in the tests, this one I think is real, like meant to be part of the repo. It has a boot out and it has a boot out license in order to pass reuse. And I think fake device maybe was from before I made mock device when I was still testing to see if it would work how I was imagining, and it did. We eventually used it for real. I could technically probably delete that, but I also used it for testing and may use it for testing again. Temp.py, that's fake. That's not part of the repo. I think I was just using it as like a kind of a pasteboard for a minute, so it'll eventually get deleted, but it definitely doesn't need a license. Okay, so that does get us past reuse, so I'll just commit but not push for now on this one. Let's make a commit that's just reuse. What was the actual last thing we changed also? Which I think is we were working on don't pass library paths, which will have a few more spots. Probably. Yeah. Okay. Libraries from imports. This got moved out of backend. Although technically some of this code is still in the backend. It's just under something else now. The web workflow? Another good view for this is here. Just see if auto is going to be working for web. Maybe it moved over into a init. That could be. That's, yeah. The libraries Libraries from CodePy. This concept did move over into init, I believe, but then because it's not tied to a backend. It's just you have the contents of a Python code file. You don't really care where it came from. You don't know or care where it came from. Therefore, it's not tied to a backend. But then what I'm trying to wrap my head around is the one difference for the web workflow is that it would still need to do this bit, which is like copying CodePy from the web workflow to the local machine that Circup is on so that it can get the contents of it so that it can pass it to that thing that was moved out of the back end. That's got to still happen. My guess then is that that is over here now, right? Although there's really not much here either. Interesting. Maybe it's broken right now. Okay, let's just step through the install auto. Install. If auto or autofile. If autofile is none, then make it CodePy. If is relative, so does it have // or // for us, let's say that it does not, I don't think. If not, path is abs? Is absolute path autofile and not is relative? So if it's absolute, if we're not using web workflow, then do this. If we are using web workflow, then do this, which is both of them are building a string that points to the file, be it whatever the user set it to, or CodePy if they didn't bother specifying. This one would be a string that's a local path /media/ whatever, or equivalent on Mac and Windows. This one would be an HTTP /fs/file. If is file and not using web workflow. Oh, if not. If it's not a file and we're not using web workflow, throw an error. Autofile path equals backend.getAutofilePath. This is where the new code must be, I think. Not new code, it's old code, but it's the code I'm looking for. Yeah, getAutofilePath. This is where it is copying code.py, getting a copy from the device via web workflow, saving it locally so that we can then read it for Circup to install all the things it finds that are necessary. This bit's a bit weird, huh, right? This is just kind of hanging here doing nothing. Get autofile path. Why are we not seeing that in the diff, though? Another thing I'm a little confused about. Get autofile path. So that would be the disk backend one, which doesn't actually have to do anything special. This would be the web backend one, which apparently was just here before, I guess. A little bit too many places. I don't know. Where did that come from? I don't know. There it is. Okay, I searched on the wrong side. I didn't realize this search was side dependent. That's interesting. Kind of cool, I guess. Okay, that's when it got created. And yeah, when it got created with this just hanging out here. Definitely not really doing anything, so let's delete it. Hope for the best. Okay. Okay. I do think I'm caught up to where I was when I last worked on this. So what's left in our list of changes? This one is init. The GitHub interface is like sometimes really good at showing you relevant bits, but other times kind of bad at showing you relevant stuff. Makes it difficult to. Of course, it's an extra hard case of it because we've changed everything all around. So like stuff that was in a place may not be in that place anymore. So okay, this is the init for module. I don't think that I did last time, so let's start there maybe and kind of see where that leads us. This is bundle. We can collapse that. Module init path. Path is the path or URL to the module on the connected CircuitPython device. So seems weird to need a URL. Seems like the backend should handle that. The module, who calls to create a module? This is the only place. Find modules. Extracts metadata from the connected device and available bundles. Okay, already, that's a lot of stuff going on. Extracts metadata from the connected device and the available bundles. Returns this as a list of module instances representing the modules on the device. So how could we do this? So this is part of the part where my brain starts to melt a little bit, and I'm not sure how best to do it because module class originally contained interactions with the device, which at the time it written, that device was USB only. Module contained interactions, like module.install was a function that would install the module on the device. We tried to, like, this whole refactoring has been to try to move that functionality that interacts with the device over to a backend. Module, though, is a strange case because it's both, kind of. It does point to a specific library on a specific device, which means it does have a path or a URL. But how much does it use it? I don't know how to go about removing it. I mean, we're close to the point where it's not entirely true, I guess. Maybe module should live under backend, but that's not true either because I'm pretty sure it creates module objects based on a bundle somewhere, but that's not actually true, is it? Because we just saw. Oh, here, the only place where module is called is find modules, which is a base level function in init. Find modules takes a backend, a device URL, So for one thing, that's redundant. We should axe this to not take the device URL because the backend already has it. It takes, let's say it takes a backend and a bundles list. It gets the versions from the device. And again, we shouldn't be passing the URL into get device versions because backend is a backend, already has a device URL inside of it on self. And in fact, I'm going to start there. Get device versions should not take a URL. Instead, it should just say get modules self dot device location. I think it's called device location. Location. It does unresolved attribute because it's in backend. So I guess let's go. None on that one. Not sure why I went shouty on this one versus the other one. Okay, so which changed that? Changed anything here yet? We're gonna not say device URL. I'm gonna leave that one for now. We're gonna kind of try to go one layer at a time. So get device versions on backend. We don't want to pass that device URL anymore. Instead, we use this. It's perfect. That's backend. So we will need to fix it in both of the subclasses. Right here, we'll not get a URL anymore. And it will say device location. Okay. Is this mad? Didn't I fix it? Is it because I didn't save? Oh, we didn't change it in backend. Did I change it anywhere? I swear I changed it somewhere, didn't I? Here's a place where we're gonna not pass it. Didn't change it anywhere, I guess. This will be self dot. Okay, I think we made it. So let's test it. Should be already installed because I did the pip install e thing. Don't suppose I have a thing in here. How convenient. Let's go. I've just been doing HID over and over again. Okay, still passing it. That's the only place though. It's not the only place. Why did that not come up? Oh, I accidentally did get Circup. Okay. That's gonna require the same changes, I guess. Okay. Okay. Get device versions, get CircuitPython version are different. Get CircuitPython version returns you the version of CircuitPython on your device. Get device versions returns you, I think, a list or a dictionary of the versions of libraries that are on your device. It's one petitional argument. Okay, so we did remove that too. So I guess I started axing that from two functions at once. Or maybe I did the beginning of one last time, but didn't finish it. Okay, already installed. Nice. Let's uninstall. Okay. Slowly but surely. Let's get that out. Uninstalled. Install. Some extra prints still. Nice. Okay, that succeeded. And update. This should be using get device versions with an S. So that we found before, that's like a can't read the latest version of MPY or something, I think. So it will tell me all of these need updated, but it's actually because it can't read them. That's my hypothesis. That did work, which means that our get device versions is also good. Which was, yeah, not actually what we looked at. This was module, so we're not even into module yet. Let me go in though, because I think, so find modules. I'd expect this to take only the back end. We shouldn't need to know both, which is true. And now we should be able to, because now we don't use the other one, right? Yeah, so now device URL is unused. So we can delete that. We can find all the places where this gets called. No more past the device path. All right, I think that's the three of them. I'm not worried about tests right now because so much of the code, so much of the functions and everything are all going to change that I don't want to fix the tests before I'm done breaking the functions, because I'll just have to fix them again, which I guess is nature of tests. But missing parameter backend in the doc strings. Fair enough. I don't know the right way to do this. I'm sure that's wrong. Circup? No, I don't know. Circup.backends. Maybe. Closer. Is it like this or like this? So now is it just because of this? Expected parameter. Unexpected. I don't know the right way to do the type, so we'll just say backend. Okay, well, partially that's probably why I missed backend, and then this will be backend with the device connection. Cool. And modules, resolve that one. We still need this. So this is in main. Do we still need this in main? So that would be main using Webworkflow. My gut instinct is yes. So this was around line 1000, context using Webworkflow. My gut instinct was yes, but then why, right? We shouldn't, because once we have our backend, as long as we use our backend for everything that interacts with a device, and as long as our backends are correct, i.e. have same API, then none of the rest of the code should ever have to ask, are we using the web workflow, true or false? Should it? Okay, we have a spot here. This is inside of install. So basically here we are trying to get the path to, so this is when, this is the code we just looked at when we stepped through auto. This is when auto is on, and we're creating a string variable that represents a path to the file that we are going to process for auto installation of imports. And it does have different behavior. It does have different behavior between web workflow and non-web workflow. The only real difference, though, is this fs. So this one says os.path.join device path autofile or CodePy. This one says os.path.join device path fs autofile or CodePy. Other than that, it's the same. So what we could do is we could make a new function. Yeah, we could make a new function on backend called, get path, get file path maybe. And you pass in the name of a file, so autofile or CodePy, and you get back the completed this thing. And since that would then be inside the backend, the code here would not have to care about the difference, which definitely sounds better. So let's do that. Does it matter where we put it? Def get file path. Get file full path? Get full file path? Get absolute file path? Get file path? Let's just go with get file path. File name. And by itself, it's just going to raise not implemented because disk workflow and web workflow will each have their own. I feel like I did not used to get as much empty line white space as I do now. I don't know if I updated PyCharm, if I changed a setting somewhere. I feel like I did not used to get that problem as much, and I feel like I'm always deleting tabs on empty lines these days. Okay, so by itself it does nothing to be overridden by subclass. I mean, we could put what it's supposed to do. I don't know if that's not necessarily up on the Python like OOP best practices on the overriding. What's the best way to document the overriding of the parent stuff? Okay, so get file path takes the file name. So for this one, what would be nice is if we could open an opposite group, and then if we're not using Webworkflow, that's this code right here. Really what we're gonna do is just return and device path. That is, so now we're inside the backend. So we have backend.device location. But it's not backend, it's obviously self. And then autofile is actually not autofile, but file name on this side. Because inside here, we don't know that it's the autofile, right? It's just getting the path for any file, any code file on the device. And the one problem is that I just pasted the non-Webworkflow one into the Webworkflow backend. So let me add this, which is the actual part that makes it Webworkflow. Okay. And it no longer needs to be overridden. Now it returns the full path to a given file on the device, or to a given file name. Returns the full path on the device to a given file name. Should we just say file or file name? Okay. And then the disk version now will be basically the same. But it won't have FS. Too many blank lines. Static. And then if that is set, then we no longer need if not Webworkflow, blah, blah, blah. Instead, we can say autofile equals context.object.backend.get file path. Why is there a autofile or .py? Why is there this? Where does this get used? Right below where I'm at. Okay. Right. And this one needs to get, yeah, this one is basically creating the local copy for the web workflow. And returning the path to it. And then for the disk workflow, it's not actually doing anything, but it does like return itself basically. So that's fine. Okay. Autofile equals backend.getFilePath, autofile or CodePy. That is going to put in our FS for us, which means we can get rid of all of this. Okay. Now, where's the next place? Because I think there was another one of these, right? Is there... So this says if not, so if not, path is file. Okay. I think what we want here is we actually need a function on the back end called like isFile, which for the disk workflow is gonna do this, but for the web workflow is gonna use whatever HTTP request can tell us if a file exists or not. And so then this could say if not backend dot isFile autofile, then raise the error if that was if it's not a file. And then the backend will take care of doing it the different ways. And then we'll get rid of not using web workflow. But first, I will be right back. I gotta run to the restroom. Okay, and we're back. Okay, backend.isFile. So we'll do another one on the base class. Def is file self file name. Yeah, I'm gonna do file name. Technically it's a path. It's like a file path. It's not a full absolute path, but it needs to be like relative to the root of CircuitPy, basically. So if you want, lib Adafruit HID, you need to be passing in lib / Adafruit HID. Same with any other directory. You just need to include your directories in that. But I don't think it's worth changing the name of it just because of that, because what you don't need to pass and what you shouldn't pass is the full absolute path to the file. So like /media /timc /circuitpy /lib /Adafruit HD. We don't want all of that. Or on the web version, we don't want http whatever. And I feel like calling it file path, which is the other thing that I would change it to if I were going to change it, makes it too much like it seems like that's your intention. Reach the end of our album, right? And I'm still messed up on my albums. Okay, we are gonna take one very brief tangent here and say music cube keys. You're in album mode. We want to get back to artist mode. F. Gonna be search. Maybe. Search. Filter, it says at the bottom. Browse. Browse by artist. 1. Okay, so 1 is artist. Okay, so artist 1, 2, 3, genre. Interesting. Album artist. Ooh. I don't really know or get what's the difference between between artist and album artist, but album artist, which I just now learned about, is actually exactly what I want compared to artist, which is not. So that is awesome. All right, and in celebration, we're gonna play this whole album, since we can now do it as one album instead of a whole bunch of separate ones. Nice. I love it when a side tangent works out so well. Okay. Have you ever written? Yes, yes. Raise not implemented. Copy. Why is it saying so we get this space? I mean, I guess I should just let black take care of it. I don't know. The underscores on the empty lines bother me. They catch my eye. The underscores like on other stuff like this don't bother me as much. They don't really catch my eye. We're on the web backend. So this is actually slightly new functionality for the web backend. This didn't used to exist. Right now, I'm actually just going to say return. I'm just going to say return true because technically that's what the logic is today. The logic is, basically the original logic was if not is file. So if the file does not exist, then, raise an exception, basically. Print an error and exit. That was the original logic. That was a problem for the web workflow because at this point in the web workflow, the file it doesn't exist yet. Maybe we should just move it to here after this. That's the answer, I think, actually. That's better, right? If we move this to here, and we use this instead, then we will have already copied the web workflow 1 over, and that will be inside of here. So we'll be checking that one. One thing we do need to figure out, though, is where will it fail if you give it a file that doesn't exist? Because on the disk workflow, if you gave it a file that doesn't exist, this is where it would fail. This is where it would tell you that we couldn't find that file. It probably fails right here, actually, which should give you a pretty similar message. So we might be fine, actually. Yeah, in which case we're not using this. Going back to deleting this. On the parent class also. Ready to get rid of this, and then okay. do all of our stuff. We copy from our web workflow to our local. And if it's a disk workflow, then it just basically returns the same thing that came in. So auto file ends up here, gets passed to here, which makes the logic the same as it used to be. We no longer need this because it should be able to succeed now if that file does exist. We shouldn't need an extra exception for you're allowed to fail if it's web workflow, because it's actually back to not being allowed to fail. If it fails, that means we don't have the file. Although truthfully, it will have failed before that, I think, anyway, but. Okay. So we need to give it an auto. What is in my CodePy right now? I can't type it. Can you type here? Nope. Okay, so it uses display text right now. I'm just going to do that. So if it should use CodePy, it should find display text, and it should see that it's already installed. Uninstall it. Let's uninstall bitmap font also. You know what might be cool is if you could... What if we had Circup uninstall library -- like and dependencies, or just dependencies or whatever, and that way it could uninstall the base library and any things that this depends on. Because the idea being, like, when you install display text, it depends on bitmap font. So if you don't have bitmap font, then bitmap font gets installed. But then if you uninstall display text, by default, nothing else happens. So you end up keeping bitmap font, even though when it got installed, it was for that. I guess it's a double-edged sword too, though, because you could, like, still be using that dependency for another reason. In this case, bitmap font makes a good candidate for this being useful, because bitmap font, not a lot of other things depend on that. Display text is basically the main thing that depends on that. But there could be a situation like bus device, right? Any driver, any I2C driver or SPI driver depends on bus device, and then you uninstall the driver, it would uninstall bus device. But like if you're using any other driver or any other, yeah. But I mean, that's where the flag comes in, right? Like by default, it can just behave the same as it does today. But then if you pass that flag, I think I do like it as a flag. Circup prune. Clean up there. Okay, maybe that's what we're thinking of. Is that a thing in pip? Maybe that's a thing that exists already in pip. Yeah, something like that. Something that could, like, actually, that would actually be pretty cool too if you could do well, like, what if you had uninstall auto? What if we had uninstall auto and that was the opposite of install auto? So it will remove everything that's not used by CodePy. So like it will completely wipe, it will try to clear out as much space as it can. That could be kind of cool. Okay. Well, that is unrelated to our task at hand, though. Let's not get too far into the pie in the skies, but that could be pretty cool. Uninstall with dependencies, I think, would be nice too, so that you could chain on the dependencies, so that display text will uninstall bitmap font, and so on and so forth. I think it'd be cool. Okay, but where I actually was at was we wanted to test auto, which should now install display text and bitmap font. Maybe unnecessary, deleting lib folder and running auto. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Did it do bitmap file? Oh, okay, I did it first. Nice. Okay. Sweet. Yeah, and I guess I could have looked at the display. Although I think it's not auto reload off, so actually the display won't show. I've been using my TO terminal for something else. Okay. Yeah, they're definitely installed because it is drawing on the screen. Auto works. So what we want to see now, though, is what happens when you give it auto a file that doesn't exist. So if I get it code1.py, which does not exist, then what happens? Install auto file code1.py. Found device. Client error not found for URL fs code1.py. Yeah. It's going to be a slightly different error, I guess, than... It's a different error than the other one. I guess we could catch it, maybe? Yeah, I think I'm inclined to leave it for now. Like, it could be shuffled around slightly such that you could end up with the exact same error for the Webworkflow version versus the disk workflow version, but it will be a little bit trickier, so I think I will not volunteer to do it, but if somebody wants it done that way, then we can do it that way. I think, though, so like if I were planning it, what would I do is, this is what's raising the exception, so we'd have to catch that. We'd have to catch that exception, and then does this return false for none? The thing is, I don't think we want to just catch. So the part that gets tricky is I don't think we want to just catch and consume every possible error, like HTTP error, because you could have a different HTTP error. Like, this is telling us that our code file is not found, but in another context, you know, like I could have put the wrong IP here, which I guess would have failed earlier, potentially. I don't know. But like, it could be that the server didn't answer, right? There's a case where this exception, I mean, this request fails for some reason other than this file not existing. In our case, it's because this file doesn't exist, but there could be another reason for it. The password could be wrong, the IP could be wrong, the device could be resetting right now, the web workflow could have crashed. There's a bunch of reasons why that could be. And so I don't think we want to catch and consume that error. So I'm inclined to leave it for now, because I don't know exactly how to both keep that error coming out and being relevant, and then also get us to a point where we get the same thing. I guess we could like try catch and then still click and then re-raise and then still system exit. Can you exit after you re-raise? It's an HTTP error. So See, it's weird too, because like it's never going to throw an HTTP error from the disk back in, so it's like a place where we're kind of expecting an exception that can't really happen in the other half. Is HTTP error like, does it extend like a runtime error? Can I do that? Oh, it came from URL lib3. Request exception. URL lib3. Nope, that's just an exception. So we either catch HTTP error or we catch exception. If we catch exception, then Pilot will get mad probably. And if we catch HTTP error, Pilot will be happier, but it's weird because it sort of makes it imply that an HTTP error could come from a disk operation, which isn't the case, obviously. I don't know if you need, do you need a sys.exit if you raise? You have to have parentheses. But it will also put this before, so like it's gonna be way back here. Yeah. Not sure it's worth it. I think we're gonna take it back out for now. We just let the raise come through. If we could get it the other way around, if I could get that print after the exception. Could use traceback, I guess, maybe. I think I'm not gonna bother for now though. Did totally just lose my place. CircuitPy, then it should work just the same as if we hadn't given it anything. It does. Okay, what are our changes looking like so far? Removed URL from find modules. We fixed the docs to include backend, which they didn't before. We removed URL from get device versions, from get CircuitPython version. That's calling find modules, which was a change we saw before, calling find modules. We got rid of all the usages of using Webworkflow, I believe, although we should control F that one again to make sure. The rest of this is a little bit too messed up for me to understand. Maybe over here is, so we, yeah, and this is the code we were just in, autofile path. This moved to before the check, basically, or really the check moved to after it. That's the way it went in my mind, but get device versions, yep, no more passing the URL. Device versions, no more passing. Find modules, no more passing. That's it, okay. Put device location on backend. Move device location from there. Modules. All right, so we moved it from there that way, and then we use it from self instead. File path we don't need actually, right? We use that? Yeah. Use that because, yeah. More passing the URL. Passing the location, which is also the URL. Get rid of that random thing. File path. Yeah, it's what adds the FS in. We have to still be using it. It has to exist. I mean, something has to exist and do its function, which is adding that FS in. CircuitPython version, no more taking the path. Self instead of pass it in. No more passing to get version. File path is, yes, the disk version, which is basically just join device location with the name. Or if the name was none, then CodePy. Which maybe that should be outside of here. Oh, it is outside of here. Okay, we should get rid of that. Is it like that in both? It is. We should get rid of that. Because it's already going to be replaced. It can never be none by the time it gets to in here, so it's always file name. Okay, yeah, let's do a control F on that. And then maybe we are now able to say no on this. Yeah, the only place that it exists right now is setting it as a variable. We obviously don't need to use if nobody is ever going to read the variable. I'm doing resolve just so I can keep coming back to this page to like go kind of using it as my checklist basically. Except backends was all new, so it's not going to have anything in it yet. Oh, but we might have to go back. I'd have to actually go back to the main PR because now the rest of the comments won't be here. Module, so we still got to deal with module. Is module the last thing? Or do some of our comments get kind of swallowed by the fact that, well, there's a bunch of removed code, right? Like comments that were in the code that got moved would just be in the removed section. Maybe we're done except for module. Go back to this. Okay, module. Having the full name and password in the target URL. This was on install file HTTP destination URL. We fixed that before? Install file HTTP. No. Seemingly. Hold on though, because we print the target. I think we crashed the Webworkflow at some point. Or maybe the whole device, actually. No, we finally made it back to here. I think we have to reset, though, otherwise I don't suspect Webworkflow is coming back. Okay, go. Stuck again? Gotta pay. There we go. Target. Yeah. So, who calls this? Install module MPY. Specifically in the web, we're only in the web backend here. All this is in the web backend only. Install module Pi. What would be the third one? Update. Update module. Update HTTP. Update module via HTTP. Okay. But this gets us back into the module trickiness because module.path then also has the password in it, right? That's another place to remove it. That was not a specific comment in here, but it's the, you know, it's the same in the same vein as this. It's proper to remove it in both places for sure. But that does also overlap a bit with that first one, which is about the module having the URL. Really just tackling the module class overall. But we don't need to do that in order to chip away this one extra part here. So we can make it so that target doesn't get the URL. Doesn't get the password. What should we have target be? Here, buddy. Hey. Failed. Okay. So what is source? The truth is we should not pass target in. We should generate it using self.device location, self.password. I think those are the only two things we need. But if we, and source, if I said that, I don't know if I said that, but we need to take those three things, add them together, and that should give us target. Oh, actually though, we need fs, which means we're gonna have to call our new function get file path also. Nice. I love using a function right after you create it for something different, right? Like we used it already in the one spot, but it's cool to use it again already. Yeah, what is source? Source. I think source is gonna be, I don't know. Hopefully, I'm hoping that it's gonna have this in it though, because what we want to do is get this out of source and then build the rest of this URL with stuff that we have on self. Have I had the microphone in the shot the whole time? It's been a while since I looked at the preview. Hey, wait, why does it, what? Why didn't it print source? Missing something? Why didn't it print source? Did I save this? Print source, target, source, source. Oh, this is web backend, install file, HTTP. Oh, because it's not a file. Yeah. Okay. We have install dir HTTP, which also has the same problem. The comment was on install file HTTP, but install dir HTTP, it's actually the exact same thing, right? And I already added target here. Uninstall this again. And we install this again. My device is probably like, dude, why do you keep uninstalling, reinstalling the same thing? It's not even changing, dude. What are you doing? I know, buddy. For a good cause, I promise. Okay, source is blah, 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 blah. Adafruit bitmap font, which is exactly what we want. So, yeah, let's get that and build the rest of it from it. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's go find where this got called. Let's get rid of this entire thing right here. Okay. No longer passing any of that stuff around. We have a bunch of broken stuff. So we're gonna go. So the way that I like to do this is just make a variable called whenever I'm removing an argument, I always like to just make a variable called same thing the argument used to be. That way we don't have to change the code from here down once we get our variable. Target is gonna be what? So it's gonna be some stuff. It's gonna have at the end of it, it's gonna have source.split. Oh. Are these gonna be the other way on Windows? We want the last one. So I would just do this, but I think we want probably something else, right? We probably want like stuff. That's OS. So hopefully that will be also proper on Windows. Okay, so we're gonna split the source, get the last part of it. That's gonna get added. How's it going? Name over on Twitch. Your name is very. Oh wait, you're not on Twitch. You're on YouTube. My bad. How's it going? Name over on YouTube. Your name is very generic. I'm sure you know that already. All right. Target. So we need to get the rest of this. Self dot. So device path we already have. I think libdir path we already have. So we should be able to go. Yeah, password is already part of device. So we should be able to go device location plus libdir path plus this, right? Self.device location plus self.libdir path plus the thing we split off from source. That's for a file. So we could test this on a file. But we could also do it for folder, which is what I'm going to do, because I've been doing folders with display text, bitmap font, HID. I think all of those are folders. Okay, yep. All the rest of this should be the same, though, I think. So all of that stuff should be the same. What's your Twitch name? My name on Twitch is FoamyGuy_Twitch. FoamyGuy_Twitch. Somebody else beat me to FoamyGuy. I'm FoamyGuy on like GitHub and Discord and a couple other places, but somebody beat me there on Twitch. They're not very active, but they got the name. So hacked on _Twitch. Still nice and easy. That should work. I think that should work. And get rid of target because we're not passing it. Get rid of target because we're not passing it. It's already installed, so we'll uninstall it. Can you chain? If I do like uninstall, can I do space and another one or comma in another one? Might be nice to uninstall like 2 at a time. We failed. Email service unknown. That sounds like the web workflows. Going again. Very good. Not a coincidence. Probably target's wrong, right? Target. Doesn't have FS in it, and it needs that, I'm pretty sure. Oh, we need a slash. We're missing a slash. Not a path separator slash. Well, it is a path separator slash, but it's a URL path separator slash, which is different than a local file path separator. I totally do not want this in its own window. I don't know how that happened. Okay, so then we would want our slash right in here. Man, I'm tempted. It'd be nice to put it in this so that we don't need it, but I guess wherever the other place that's being used is assuming it doesn't have it there, so. Nope. There we go. Okay. All right. Fingers crossed. Come on, buddy. Target looks good. Installed. Yes. Nice. Okay. So it's still in the path inside module, but I think what we're going to do here is consider module the last kind of bastion of module needs address. Well, tests after that, but the last part of the library. So that is module. Yep. Okay, so latest commit removes target argument entirely and derives the URL from source from some values from self plus some plus source. USB backend. Did we ever do that? It done that one. Disk backend. Yeah, it takes a device. Yeah, obviously, right? It takes a device location. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it to put on self. Yeah. This to take the base path. And the optional version string for the folder on the disk case. Version string. Version string. Okay, so latest commit does pass in the path. Gotta go keep learning CSS. See ya. Yep, take it easy, my friend. Thanks for stopping by for a bit. Have fun with CSS. As much fun as you can, at least. Latest commit does pass in the path to this constructor. So the latest commit changes this to accept the device path. All right, this one I'm going to leave unresolved because we didn't do anything with version. This could be replaced by backend function. Shared, we moved. Replaced by a backend function that confirms the device is present. Get device path. Backend function that confirms that the device is present. So a backend function can't really confirm if the device is present, I don't think, because when you create a backend, you have to give it the location to a device. I guess I haven't tested it, but I assume if you give it a location that doesn't exist, i.e. there is not a device present in the location you gave it, I think it will crash in some way already. But it's kind of a chicken and egg thing, right? Once you have a backend, you should... Once you have a backend that you can call functions on, I think you're already certain that a device is present. In my mind, I think if the device is not present and you try to create a backend, it should fail right there. But I also think get device path, this is, oh, it's calling find. Okay, so find, this is actually the function I was thinking of. I was going to say this function's also like finding the device too, which it is, I suppose, but it's actually calling this, which is obviously the one that's doing the finding. Okay. I don't know if I follow this one. This one we may have to save for fresh brain Tim. I'm not sure I'm following this one. We leave that unresolved because we didn't touch the version stuff. We leave that unresolved because it's module. I'm gonna run pre-commit. Pylint is probably still wrecked. The tests are probably still wrecked. Lots of stuff is mad, I'm sure. That's fine. So the things we did were removing path, argument, backend functions, and find modules, right? And then also no longer pass target. So we did also add get file path backend. We made it so that we are not, so we already talked about that one. In the commit message, I mean, obviously we talked about all of these, but no longer include the password. Well, I mean, really, we removed the entire target argument. Remove target, including password, target URL, argument from install HTTP. There's 2 of them. I'm just going to leave it like that because the commit message is already pretty long. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up for today there. I mean, we got a bunch more done. Basically, the main couple of things left are still tackling that module class, the version stuff, the tests. Testing again on Windows to make sure I didn't break it with anything of that I did today, like that os.pathsep. That's the part I'm not positive about off the top of my head, but alrighty. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone has a good day. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will be back on Saturday for the normal stream. Until then, so long. Good day and goodbye.